This is the Mackie ProFX12v3 Audio Mixer. This audio mixer is probably one of the top selling audio mixers in North America. It's a good size that you can run small bands, do live streaming, do home recording. It's really flexible, but it is big enough that you can accommodate quite a few inputs. In this video, I'm going to walk through everything that you need to know in order to set up this audio mixer correctly. By the end of this video, almost all the inputs will be full. We'll have mixed a band. We'll have connected a whole bunch of different auxiliary devices. You'll get to see my thought process as I go through and work with this audio mixer. You'll get to see how it's all done from start to finish. Now, first of all, in order to make this video work, I will be using all types of different microphones, cables, accessories, DI boxes, headphones, all that type of stuff. If you are looking for the specific model that I like using or what's featured in this video, I do have links down in the description below where you can find current up-to-date pricing on everything you see here from a variety of online retailers. Next, the first thing that we need to do with this audio mixer, we have it connected and powered on. We need to make sure that we strike the board. In order to strike the board, you're putting everything back to its first positions. So I want to make sure if you're following along that we have the same starting point. In order to do that, any of these gray clicky buttons need to be in the up position. There's a bunch at the top, and there's a bunch at the bottom. Make sure that they're all in the up position. All these white knobs for the microphone preamps need to be turned all the way down. These gray knobs for the one knob compressor need to be turned all the way down. These blue knobs for the 3-band EQ should be in the 12 o'clock position, so straight up. The green knobs and the orange knobs should be turned all the way down. The gray knobs here for the pan should be in the 12 o'clock position. Everything should be muted. You should see all red lights at the bottom here. All the faders should be turned down, and all these knobs on the side should be turned down as well. And lastly, this 48 volts phantom power button should be turned off and in the up position as well. Okay, first of all, let's make sure that our outputs are working. This might sound counterintuitive. Most people just want to plug in microphones, but it's easier to work backwards. We're going to connect and test our outputs first. So in order to do that, I'm going to connect an XLR cable here that runs to my speaker. I'm going to connect that to the left XLR output. Now, for the purposes of this video as well, I do have an off-screen recorder recording this audio mixer so you can hear everything that I'm doing. I'm going to connect that to the 1/4-inch TRS output here in the main output section as well. Obviously, you can connect 2 XLR and 2 1/4-inch. For the purposes of this video today, I think one of each is more than enough to demonstrate the functionality. Next, we're going to go down to the main output here. I want to unmute this, and I'm going to bring this fader up to U, or unity. It's also known as 0. That's the best starting position on the audio mixer. That gives you enough headroom and it gives you enough pull down, and it's the cleanest signal as we set everything up. So that's where we're going to start. Next, we need to test our sound system. So I'm going to turn on the speaker here. The mixer is already on. Now we're going to bring in a Bluetooth source really quick just to test it. I always do this before I connect microphones. It's way easier to troubleshoot speakers and outputs if you just connect a quick source. So I'm going to open up my phone here and go to my Bluetooth. This audio mixer does have Bluetooth, so I can just press and hold the Bluetooth button. Then you'll see it pop up on my phone here, and then you can select the ProFX12v3. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and play some music off your phone. Okay, I found some music that I want to play, so I hit play on my phone on Epidemic Sound. This way the music is royalty free. So the first thing we want to do is we want to solo this channel. You can hit the PFL button. You can see that it is coming in pretty hot. Now this channel doesn't have a pad or anything like that, so I'm just going to turn my phone down. We're aiming to have our loudest moments here, somewhere around 0 dB or so. Right where it's at now is good. So I'm going to turn off PFL, and then I'm going to assign it to where I want this music to go. I want this to go to the main left-right stereo output, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to talk about this other button in a little bit. Then we can unmute this microphone and bring this fader up to unity. Now we can hear that we have music. I do have the speaker turned down just so it's not interfering too much. I can see on my recorder as well that it is recording. So I'm going to turn this down. So now we've tested our main outputs and we're ready to add microphones into our audio mixer. Now these two microphones in front of me, I'm not going to actually connect them here. I do have tracks that I'm going to be playing off the computer as if we're mixing a band, but I have them here to demonstrate something else. First of all, you do need to know if the microphones that you're connecting are dynamic or condenser. Typically, you'll find more dynamic microphones like a Shure SM58 or a Beta 58 like I have here, live on stage. You'll typically find condenser microphones more in the studio. That's a soft rule. Obviously, rules are broken all the time. The only reason I bring this up is if you are using a condenser microphone, you need to make sure that you turn on this 48 volts of phantom power button that will energize all your XLR inputs in order to power condenser microphones. In this day and age, you don't need to be too worried about mixing condenser microphones and dynamic microphones. Most modern balanced dynamic microphones will eat that phantom power and you don't have to worry about risking it. So if you are using a Rode NT1 with the Shure SM58, no worries, you're not going to damage your 58. The first microphone that I'm going to bring in is our vocal mic. That's the easiest to get going and to demonstrate a lot of the features of this audio mixer. So I'm going to connect this microphone into our first microphone channel using the XLR input. We're going to go through the same step that we did previously. I'm going to hit the solo or PFL button. Now this will also bring it into our headphones. So if I want to pre-listen to this to make sure it sounds good, I can plug in my headphones and adjust my headphone volume if I do want to pre-EQ or something like that before I bring it into the mix. But for now, I just want to set the gain on this input. So I'm going to bring this fader up to 0 or unity. We can see that we're at about -20 right now. So I'm going to turn up my preamp here until we're getting more that we're peaking somewhere around 0 dB. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it just gets us into that range so we have something to work with. Then I'm going to turn this down, turn off PFL. I'm going to assign this channel to left, right, the main stereo output. I'm going to unmute the microphone and bring it up. So now you can hear that this vocal is coming through. I'm just going to turn the speaker up a little bit so I can hear what I'm doing. Okay, next we can go through all types of different settings on this. At the very top of this audio mixer, we have a low cut button. What this will do is it'll roll off the lower frequencies of this microphone. I'm going to turn this on now. What you're basically doing here is you're removing this microphone from the subwoofer of the listener, and this will clean up your mix quite a bit. I always slap it on vocal microphones. Next, we have a one-knob compressor. The way that the one-knob compressor works on the Mackie here is it basically just squishes. It won't give you any makeup gain. It just has a fixed compression ratio of 1:6, I believe. Generally, I will put this on a vocal. Now, the track that I'm working on with right now is already pre-mixed and pre-compressed, but I will put it on here just so you can hear what it sounds like. So if you do over compress this at all, what can happen is it can end up sounding flat and you take all the dynamics out of it. So what you want to do is you want to compress it enough that you're not riding the fader adjusting the volumes all night to put it into a predictable window, but you don't want to over compress it and just kind of flatten the vocal. In this case, I'm going to leave the one knob compressor off because the track is already finished. Next, we have the 3-band EQ here. I'm just going to demonstrate how this sounds. So the highs is moving at 12.5 hertz, 12,500 hertz. If you turn it up, you can hear it gets really airy, really sibilant, like that. But if you bring it down, it just kind of dries it out a little bit as well. Put that back. Next, the mid is at 2.5. So what this will do is it'll make it it'll give you more clarity. But if you turn this up too much, you can risk making it more grating and irritating. So I'm going to turn it down and reduce it a little bit. You can tell it takes a little bit of that intelligibility out of it when I move the mid down. Then we have the low here, which obviously boosts the low. Fattens it up a little bit. And we can rob that low again if we want. Next, we have our auxes here. So aux 1 here will send to a monitor output. So if you have a floor monitor or floor wedge or a different mix that you want, you can dial in how much of each input that you want through this mix. Now, this won't work right off the bat. You need to turn up the volume for each channel that you're sending into this mix. And then there is a main aux master. So you can turn this up to 0 or unity here. And then if you want effects in the monitor as well, you have the ability to do that. Most people prefer their monitors to be dry without effects, but the Mackie ProFX12v3 Plus here does give you the option to add those effects back in if you want. So if you want to send to another speaker, that's how you would do it. Next, we have the effects engine. So we can turn up the effects on each channel that we want, and then it comes into here. I'll demonstrate this in a minute, but I just want to show you how this effects works. So obviously you need to send it from your channel. So turn up how much of this that you want going into the effects engine. Then you need to unmute the effects engine and turn it up. Then we have the effects engine here that we can play with. If we go out, you can see that we have about 12 different effects that we can choose from. So once you have the effect that you want chosen, you can select it with this knob here. Then you have 3 variables that you can edit. So if you want to extend the time of the delay or the feedback or the high cut filter, you can do that as well. Also, you can go in and EQ your effects engine. You could put a high pass filter, a low pass filter, or EQ the mids. And once you find an effect that you really like, you can save it into this bank of presets. So let's demonstrate this now. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to unmute this channel, send the effects to it. So we're using a delay right now. I'm going to turn the speaker up so I can hear it. Okay, we're going to send some effects. So you can hear that delay working now. The delay is pretty crazy. Notice when you mute the channel here, the delay keeps going because we didn't mute the effect. Now, if that's too crazy for us, we can go into here, edit the time, and turn down the time of that delay. And you can hear it now. Anyway, that's how the effects works. You can play with it to your taste. As you know already, this track already has a little bit of reverb in it, so we're going to leave this off for now, turn down the effects, and mute the effects send, and unmute this microphone. Okay, so we have our vocal microphone set up. Next, let's throw in a bass guitar here. So bass guitar, say we're connecting a bass guitar straight into this audio mixer. We can do that in one of these first 2 channels here. I'm going to connect this as if he's coming straight in. Then we have a high Z button. I would recommend using the high Z button because that will more accurately set the impedance of this input and all set up. If you don't have a high Z button on your audio mixer, I'll show you what to do with the next input. Okay, so I'm going to press that. Then we're going to go through the same step. I'm going to solo it, bring it up. We can see that we're not getting anything, so we're going to turn up our preamp here until we're peaking around 0. Turn the fader down, unsolo it, unmute it, send it to left, right, and then bring it up. So you can hear this bass guitar is coming in now. We have the high Z button set up correctly. And if we unmute the vocals here, you can hear that the mix is starting to come together now. So that's great. Next, let's bring in some keyboards and guitars. So this is coming in 1/4 inch as well. We could bring this in through the line input here. But what happens if, say, you don't have a high Z button for these? Typically with a acoustic guitar, you'd need a high Z button. Or if they have a really long cable run and you want to balance that signal, in that case, you would use something like a DI box. What a DI box does is it has a bunch of 1/4 inch inputs. So I'm going to go into the left input here. This will balance the signal, so it'll convert it to XLR so you can run it over a long distance. It'll also properly set the impedance of that signal to come into the audio mixer correctly. So out of the other side of this DI box here, I'm going to connect an XLR cable to the output. And then I'm going to bring that into our audio mixer. So connect that to the left output here. And connect this XLR cable to channel 3. Now this will have guitars and piano all together, just the way this video is set up. So I'm going to solo this channel, bring up the fader. You can see I'm not seeing any level, so I'm going to increase the preamp here until we're getting up where we need. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because it was peaking there. Great, I'm going to turn it down, unsolo, send it to left and right, unmute it, and bring it up. So now you can hear that this is coming in. We can unmute everything else. So this is working out wonderfully. We're starting to build everything up. So now let's bring in the drums. Last channel that we're doing for this band setup here is we're going to bring in the drums. We're going to go through exactly the same process. We're going to PFL it. We can see that we have quite a bit of level already. So that's probably good. We don't need any gain on the preamp or anything like that. So I'm going to turn that off, assign it to left, right, unmute it, bring it up, unmute everything else. Now you can hear that we have a good mix coming together. Now another thing I want to talk about here is we're sending everything to left, right, but what if we want to do something with the 1-2 channel here? When would I use that? In this case, with a band setup, I typically use it one of 2 ways. One, I would have a whole group of vocal microphones, and instead of sending them to left, right, I would grab all my vocal microphones, unclick left, right, and send them to channel 1-2. That would bring them to this fader, and then I would send this fader to the left-right. What this would do is it would give me a submix, so I can control all my vocals together. So I could use my faders to set the blend of this channel, and then I could use this sub 1-2 here to control the master volume of that subgroup. So if I want to bring up all the vocals together, I can do that. Now, the other way I would use this is aux fed subs. So in this case right now, we connected a mid-high speaker here. We don't have a subwoofer. But if I did have a subwoofer, I would take it out of the sub 1-2, and then I would only send my bass guitar in channel 2 and my kick drum from our drum set. And this way, only the low instruments are going to the subwoofer. I don't want vocal in the subwoofer. I don't want acoustic guitar in the subwoofer. I rarely want piano or keys in the subwoofer. So this way I get way better control over those lower frequencies, and I'm not going to send this sub 1-2 to the main mix. It will just be independent, coming out of the output that it controls, going to the subwoofer, giving me more control over those low frequencies. Next, I want to show you how two other inputs work. One is very, very common if you want to connect laptops, phones, any external device, an iPad, whatever. People come up to you all the time with their devices and just say, hey, I want to play something off of this. In order to make that happen, I'd typically use a cable like this. This is something that you should have with you at all times. You should probably have 2 or 3 of these in your bag. This will take the headphone jack out of whatever somebody walks up to you with and converts it into 2 stereo mono cables. Now you'll notice that this fits very perfectly into our stereo channel here. How these stereo channels work is you can connect a left and right source, and you can control them with one fader. So I can control this whole cable here with one fader, and it's already panned. So the left jack here, the black jack, will already be panned left for me, and the red jack will already be panned right to me. So if I connect a stereo source, playing music off my phone, it's already panned and set up correctly. That's why these channels here exist, and that's why they're so popular for connecting these devices. Now, in order to make that happen for me, because my phone doesn't have a headphone jack, I'll need a USB-C to TRS connector here, 1/4 inch. So I'll connect that to my headphone side of this cable. Now I can just connect USB-C to my phone and demo this for you. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I take this USB-C cable, connect it to the bottom of my phone here, and then I'm going to take the other end of this cable. Black is left, red is always right. So red goes in the right channel there. Then I'm going to hit play on my phone again. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to hit solo. I can see that I'm getting pretty good level on this, so I'm going to turn that off. Make sure it's set to left, right here. Unmute the channel, then bring it up. So that's a very popular way to bring in a line level source from a mobile device like a phone, laptop, anything like that. Now the next thing I want to show is connecting a USB cable to your audio mixer here. So I have a USB cable connected to another computer off site. This audio mixer will eat literally everything. So say instead of having a stereo pair, instead I want to have a USB input into the audio mixer. You can do that on channel 910 here. You just have to click this USB 3.4 button. Then you have to make sure that your laptop is sending out through output USB 3.4. There's a bunch of videos to do that. I'm not going to take up the time in this video, but you can play USB, so I'm just going to hit play on my laptop now. Okay, my laptop is playing, so I'm going to go through the same process. Solo 910 here. You can see that I'm getting good level. Patch it into left, right, unmute, and bring it up. So there you have it. Now we brought in a USB source, we have our Bluetooth source, we have our stereo input. Really the only channel we haven't used in this audio mixer so far is channel 7.8. Now the only thing I haven't touched on, I think I haven't touched on yet, is the blend knob. A lot of people will be going through this whole process, set everything up just like I did in this video, and then they wonder what the blend knob is. The blend knob is more for computer recording with this audio mixer. What it will do is it will send in USB 1.2 from your computer and bring it to the blend knob. From the blend knob, it'll go to your control room outputs or your headphones, depending on which you're using. You can set the volume for that here. What this is made for is you can blend between that input from the computer and from the audio mixer. So if you're recording something and you're recording vocals from channel 1 into your computer, but you also need to listen to the track so you can sing along with it, then you can set your blend knob in your headphones without messing up the whole stereo mix. It's mostly a feature here for computer recording. The other thing I want to touch on are these USB modes that are brand new on the Plus series of these audio mixers. the USB output, this controls the USB output of this audio mixer. So right now it's in standard. What standard will do is it will send the main stereo output through the USB to your computer if you want to record everything coming off your audio mixer. If you switch this to loopback, it's the same thing, but it will also include the feed coming from USB 3.4 in that mix as it goes out. Usually that 3.4 will be ignored because it doesn't want to create a feedback loop with itself. If you're in interface mode, it will take the dry, non-affected channels of 1 and 2 and kick those out in channels left and right so they're separate. So if you want to multi-track 2 inputs on your audio mixer here, you can do 1 and 2 and send those out to your computer, dry with no effects. So again, I'm just going to unmute these and listen to everything we have set up. You can tweak it and mix it from here, but functionally everything on this audio mixer does work, and I think this has been a pretty complete tutorial going through all the settings. If there is something that I've missed in this video, please do leave a comment down in the comment section below. Again, if you are looking for pricing or links to any of the accessories that we've shown or demonstrated in this video, I have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.